Let's get ready to throw down!
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the new version of Sales Throwdown. So we have been pretty swamped, so we decided to move this back towards doing it in the evenings when we had more free time so we could go a little bit deeper and help you guys out. As always, we're not in person due to COVID stuff, and this is just kind of convenient. So same as always, and the topic today, we're talking about if we were starting over and we knew everything we know now. We knew ourselves, we knew our tendencies, we knew where our comfort zones were and where we're going to struggle and where we weren't. And we're going to talk about very specifically for our segments, our sections, our teams, how to do it better with the knowledge that we have figured out. That's the game plan, right?
I like it.
That's what we agreed on before we started rolling anyway. So we'll see. We'll see how closely we stick to that agenda. So let's start with the D, right? Clint, right? D's are, you guys take action. So if you're going to start over, but you have all this knowledge that you've gained along the way, what would you do like the first day, first week, first 30 days of starting over?
Well, I'll start by saying this. I actually wonder when you brought this topic up if I would even be where I'm at if I didn't do what I did. So I have a hard spot in changing anything, right? Because I did make some pretty bold moves that my natural, personality let me do and feel comfortable with it. Whereas I think if I, know what I know now, I think I'd have been a little more hesitant, a little more filtered, and I don't think I would have made the moves that I made. So, I'm curious about that. I do know that I would have had a lot more thought into not burning bridges so fast, not just destroying relationships just to move to the next thing, and really hearing people out and just thinking that hey dumbass, you're not right all the time. People have opinions, let's hear them, and you filter a little bit. So I'm a little mixed feelings on this, right? Because I'm here and I got here for reasons, but I probably could have done it a different way, but I don't know that it would have led me here. So a little mixed on that.
So I'm curious, right? If you were to go back in time to Clint in that first, 30 days when he's burning bridges and he's got it all figured out and everything, how do you communicate with him in a way to show him like, hey, maybe tone it down just a little bit and have that actually land?
Yeah, that's tough because I don't think he got the point across. I'm the guy that I have to touch the hot stove like 5 times. That's just the way it goes. I touch it once, I get burned. I think, okay, well, that couldn't have been right, and touch it again. It's like, shit, I got to find a different way to touch this instead of just backing away from the fire. That's just what I do. And, as far as communicating though, there were so many instances where I probably lost a lot of sales and good relationships with good people that if I'd have just focused on doing business instead of keeping it in the personal zone, that's the biggest lesson for me is focusing on the business aspect of it and, not letting the emotions get involved, just because I don't get along with somebody and I can't communicate with them. That's probably the biggest lesson that I'd have to sell myself on is, hey man, that you don't have to like this person to do business with them. It helps, but you don't have to. And I probably burned a lot of those jobs up.
Wow. That's pretty deep, man. Good for you. When I think of D's, I don't ever go down that path of thinking that you're going to get that liking is important. Because to me, it's just like, okay, like where's the task, right? Like you're my task-oriented buddy. So
yeah, I don't get hung up on it too much, but there is a few that I can remember in the past where somebody, and it has to do with like embarrassment and getting, just pissed off, right? You said something to offend me, and I couldn't keep those personal emotions in check. Or maybe you said something about, something I believe in, politics, military, religion. Maybe you said something that just I should have looked past to keep the business going, and I couldn't do that, right? I got my emotions so wired. I shunned you, and I never looked back. And like I said, that those decisions, some of those I think helped me, get past a lot of obstacles that a lot of people get stuck at, right? they look at facts and figures and say, oh, I can never do that, so I just need to stick here. And they'll be there forever. So those bold actions definitely get me somewhere in life. There's no doubt. I definitely would have had a little better tact. I actually think I would have sold a lot more had I just kept it to business. So that's my nugget.
So, okay. So continuing down that path, and just to make sure that we have an endpoint, right? So does that mean that you got to do business with everybody? I mean, where do you draw the line?
No, I mean, like I said, it has to make business sense, right? For you and your business and how you want to do that. You can't, I'm not gonna do business with somebody just to make a sale and know that they're a crooked person, that's going to try to screw you in the end. Like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that because they are a Democrat and I'm a Republican, we can still do business together. Like that's a silly thing.
No, we cannot.
Hey, you can go after yourself, Doc. No, I'm just saying there's times to fight it, and in sales and business, how hungry are you? What do you sacrifice to a little bit of yourself to give up? I mean, because you have to.
Well, you make a good point. You have to. You don't want to die a death of a million cuts, but you're going to have to take some give and take, and kind of get, have some empathy, show, accept somebody else's position that you may not, maybe they're not the most ethical business individual, or maybe they bring to light that, they've screwed some people over in business. Yeah, you got some decisions to make then and there. Because I've faced them myself. Do I get in bed with this individual to do business, or start selling a product to them, only to know that I'm going to have to be suspect that this isn't going to play out, and some money may be left on the table that belongs to me that they keep in their pocket. Yeah.
And a good example of what I'm trying to say is at the show Shark Tank, right? You got Mr. Wonderful. I can't remember his name, but Mr. Wonderful they call him. And when somebody doesn't go for his pitch, right? Somebody doesn't take his offer. What does he say? You're dead to me. You're
dead to me.
And it's over. And I come from that. That's my natural inclinations. You're just dead to me, and I'll never talk to you. I'll never look at you. We'll never do business again. There's so many of those deals that I could have repaired and done business down the road. Maybe not that deal,
right,
but I could have done business down the road, and my inner, personality just said, screw it, go find somebody else. So yeah, there's some checks and balances there that you definitely have to play out. Being a dominant or a D personality, you just gotta.
But looking back on it, you've been quite successful, and that helps that whole equation of burning bridges, right? That you don't have to turn around and try to cross again, right? Because there's more going this direction. It's when you stumble that you're like, oh shit, and maybe there's a lateral left-hand turn you could make, but that bridge is burned, right?
Yeah, exactly. COVID is a prime example. Us going through this COVID, before COVID, I had a very narrow focus of dealing with people that I knew we were always going to do business together because we've developed those relationships. And there's a few on the other side of that line that I want to do business with professionally, but can't do it personally. And I need those people right now. So now how do you repair a relationship in the middle of a thunderstorm that you can't even go see people, right? You can't even get face-to-face contact. How do you repair that now? So those are those little ones that I would, there's not a bunch, but there's ones and twos.
Believe it or not, we actually have an account, an in-house account here through the radiology side of things, that if that doctor knew that I own the business, he would stop doing business here and now. My name is never said.
Awesome.
I never go there. They called us, and I was like shocked. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. They want us to do this? And so I have to send somebody other than myself every time. What's that?
Yeah,
well,
I was going to say
anybody's name.
Congratulations, he's phoning in. He's on the air.
And he's yelling the MF word every yeah.
The phone lines are lighting up, guys. We are crazy.
Oh, there's more than one out there. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm losing my business. Like
I've got one of those sweet 92 like office phones with all the lights and they're blinking, and it is literally
Exactly.
a strobe light right here. You can't see it.
Ones,
But...
a bank at 21 light, little punch buttons.
I like it.
Hey, so I call one of my clinics today, and I get put on hold, right? And I want to talk to the provider because there's some documentation issues. And so I just sit there and listen to the music. And Melissa keeps coming back to my office, and I'm getting more mad. And I go, can no one see that I'm on hold? I said, is the light not blinking? She goes, I don't think there are lights anymore. I go, well, somebody needs to fucking figure out how to get somebody off a hold. Oh, man, it was horrible. Oh, I was in no man's land in my own damn clinic.
That's the one rule about Al, right? And Nan, you know this, right? Al's like, hey, when I call, you answer. Like that's the rule.
They did. Of course, though, here's what was happening. The provider was on a telemedicine conference, so she texted me, right? So I'm on the phone, but I'm not looking at my text, and I'm waiting for somebody to pick up or for her to call back. I mean, either one would have worked. And sure enough, I look afterwards, the text says, hey, I'm on a telemedicine, I'll call you right back. And I'm just sitting there wasting my happy ass life waiting on somebody else.
Nan, you're being especially quiet about Clint's version of what he'd be doing differently. Do you have any input? Do you have any thoughts?
Well, I completely go ahead, Clint.
She agreed. I said she agrees.
I actually did. I thought, me too. I look back, and when I started, I would not change one single thing. And because I did, when I shifted from pharmaceuticals to medical, I think I went from my first day in pharmaceuticals, I was like super organized, super positive. I mean, to nauseam almost, because what's that movie Jim Carrey's in, Dumb and Dumber, and he's like
classic.
So I still have a chance, and that's the way I am. I am totally that person that, I for sure was back then. I don't care what you said, what you did, you were going to be writing for me. And that's just how I was. I think I lost some of that when I got into the hardware part. And so I feel like I'm getting it back a little bit. I guess I lost my confidence a little bit, because I was just so solid in that whole thing. I didn't have any instruction, and so I just went off of what I wanted to do. And I think what I started doing in medical is completely put it all aside and listen to only instruction. And I think, you have to be comfortable in your own skin, and to do well. That's probably why everyone does well in this. The four of us, we do well because we are comfortable in our skin, and we do know what our characteristics, how we thrive. And I think that is really smart to identify that. I wouldn't do anything different. I would identify what makes you successful or what you're comfortable with and go with that. And I've never changed my, I still have a chance. I remember my boss used to get aggravated with me. He would be just like, they told you no. And I was like, so what? What does that matter? There's always other things you can sell to them or approach.
Well, now they've got a restraining order. You cannot go back over there. I think they're trying to make the point.
Anyway.
Nan, you said something, you brought up something that is really important in there, is the confidence side. And I think that a lot of us in sales tend to get confident in our industry instead of in sales, right? We all know that guy that can sell some, ice to an Eskimo, a widget to anybody, right? We all know a few of those guys. And to me, it's because they're confident in sales, not the widgets that they're selling. And I find myself doing that a lot where, when I have to sell something outside of something that I'm really confident in, and a product line that I know, which is what you're talking about, coming from pharmaceuticals, to what you're doing now, there's a loss of confidence, and now you're not confident in in the selling cycle. So I think there's you learn a process, something that we talk about on here all the time, is get that process, get confident in it, and then it won't matter what you sell after that.
It
I believe
does not matter. I 100% agree. And I do think the process is so vital, and not, I think, when Al said, what did you say, where, you're just like going crazy, like burning I don't know, how did you say that?
I'm not sure.
My thought was that you should, or, for instance, I would take a zip code and I would inundate that area, that zip code, and then I would add another zip code, just methodically, don't go in there.
Well, okay. But that brings up an interesting point. In one arena, you had a target on every corner, sometimes 4 corners, right? Like gas stations, the drug dispensaries. I mean, they're every one of them was a target. When you move to the hardware side, that probably went down to 25 people, right? In one side of the Metroplex, or maybe 40 that were, reasonably attainable. And so but the reward was so much bigger at each one of those stops, right?
So it hasn't been a fail at any level.
No, I don't think so.
When Clint was talking about not changing, I thought, that's where it all began, and I have no regret. I love how I made it happen, and I think it's good to identify that.
Wow. So no advice for an S-type who's starting out in pharmaceuticals or hardware, like right now? You don't have any advice?
Yes. To organize, care about your audience, like we always say. And I don't know. Do you want to open that? Because I can't even imagine the junk. Oh, dear.
Pay no attention to the man digging in the refrigerator for more beer.
Yeah, pay no attention to me. Well, yeah, please go on, man.
Anyway, so my advice is just organize and go slow. Don't be a maniac. Just know what you're doing.
Albert,
I have a feeling, John, that you're going to be the one with the most changes.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's
no doubt. So sorry, Al, go ahead.
Because I think
you're right. Yeah.
I think that my quadrant is the least likely to be successful in sales roles, right? Because we will just sit and sit and sit, just a little bit more, one more white paper, one more data point, one more blog, one more case study, right? And it's so prevalent. I don't even realize I'm doing it.
Because it's you. That's your fabric. Right?
It is such,
and you wrap yourself in it.
Yeah. It is ingrained on such a deep level that even I was talking with someone the other day, and I was like, yeah, I'm trying to run fast at this to make sure that I don't slow down and get bogged down in the details. And the guy was like, how do I tell you? You've already done 30% more work than someone who was actually going to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I just can't. And I try, right? Because I'm like, cool. I don't feel prepared. Let's go. As an exercise and getting out of my comfort zone and forcing myself to do these things which are difficult for me. But I might be knocking 10% off of that thing that's 70% more than you guys are going to do. So I've got a lot. Go ahead, Nick.
That makes me think how important it is to team up. If we all, I'm pointing to all of us, if the 4 of us got together
and did a
tried
podcast,
to sell something, you think we would be really successful.
So Al, sorry, I'll go last because I have the most things that I think I would change in different approaches and stuff. But I'm curious for Al.
Yeah, I mean, before the show, we actually, I kind of threw it out there. I just started running with scissors and got excited.
That's what you said.
And I had a little bit of sale. I'd read some Zig Ziglar. I'd read along my travels prior to being really into sales. And I'd come through, school so I could read and write and that kind of stuff. So, they showed me the thing. I went through my training. I had my little manual, and I was excited. And so I just started knocking on doors and talking to people. And really, I think what happens is you haven't had a hard no, or you haven't gotten your first commission check. Maybe you're on draw, and you're sort of sitting out there in that zone where you really haven't had to produce, and you're still surviving. But bam, then comes, but hold on. Okay, to my credit, within 3 months, I was on commission, because they were like, do you know now you can't unflip the switch if you go off the draw and go on the commission, but you've got a bunch of money banked here, and they were willing to let me run with it. So the group I worked with, they cut on the commission side of things, and I was like, wow, let's do this. And then I had a couple bad months. Where I was like, oh, shit.
So was it one of those things where there's like one lucky month and you're like, let's go?
Well,
you pull that ripcord.
When I hit medical sales, I started in July, right? It's the middle of the year. Deductibles are paid. Surgeries start to ramp up. So I go all the way up. So now that gives me till about November. So July was nothing because I trained. So anyway, so I have 3 months, and then I get the last 3 months. Then I go into January, and deductibles are still, and that's when it dried up. And I was like, oh shit, because I'm spinning like a drunk sailor over here, thinking I've just conquered the world, and I'm not looking back.
You know how much I got for this one screw? It was like $7,000.
Wait a second. They were going for $2,800 a piece.
What do they go for now?
They go for $550.
Oh God!
As in $5.50.
Yeah, well, it's going there. Thanks, Clint. Yeah, you're part of, $550 to we get $700 on some of them, but I used to get $2,800 to $3,200 a screw.
Man, that is so funny to me that, like, God, what is the absolute kick in the balls? Like, you're like, sweet,
I used to tell everybody, like, and I think Dan remembers, I used to go, this is a diamond ring. Do not lose it. And so in the back of my car would be $600,000 worth of, like, hardware. And I know people out there that have left that at the Starbucks on the side because, guys meet in the parking lot, like tool sets to switch out, and somebody drives off and they come back and it's not there. And it's full of equipment that, now, there's insurance and stuff like that for it. But yeah, you're running around with, 6, 7. I mean, I swear I might've had $1 million in my car at one time, just in hardware and screws, because there's hundreds of them in every set.
It's crazy. Whenever I was working for you, I got to go train with this company that we were repping for called Orthofix, which is here in town. And so I got to go train and do some really cool training. I mean, they had cadavers. It was really, really awesome. And they had these kind of like demo things that didn't pass like QA, right? But they're the screw with the tulip and the whole thing for the minimally invasive, right? And I still have one in my vehicle, right? Because like they gave it to me as like, hey, we can't use these, so like here, have them, right? They're like product demos. And I was like, okay, cool. So I still have this thing in my car, right? And one time Alice was, we'd parked somewhere and she'd hopped in the front seat because I was waiting on something, and she goes, "What's this?" And she holds it up, and I was like, "That's a reminder that it could be worse." She's like, huh?
But
I'm like, I'll tell you when you're older.
Yeah.
To my, I guess, I got into a rhythm, and then I got in my way a lot. I think, you get, if you show up innocent, you get some blind luck on your side and it sticks, you get a good feeling that the potential is there. I just wish that I had trained harder earlier at being a good salesperson, right?
Did you think you were good when you started?
Well, I've always thought I was,
influential.
Yeah, I work hard. I mean, I get up early and I'll stay late, and I'll pound the pavement. I had a self motivation. I had the self motivation to get out there. Now, there were weeks that I didn't leave the house, sure, like every good salesman. I was right. I got the big fatty the month before, and so I'm kicking back, and I've got some accounts that are churning, and maybe the doc's out of town, and not much is going on, and so I took that time to kind of blow off as well. But for most of my life, I mean, I think you've got to get up and push yourself out the door to get stuff done. And not every day is a great day, but every day is an opportunity. And if you let it pass you by, then guess what? That's on you. And so I didn't let too many days pass me by.
That's the thing. I think, right? I've been really, really thinking about, as we're goal setting for this, and I'm goal setting for the rest of my businesses, and I'm really trying to like hone my focus, because I get distracted really, really quickly because I'm always looking for the improvement, right? And the improvement is always being voiced by people who want to sell you something, right? So I fall down these rabbit holes of like, oh, this is going to be the next big thing in consulting, and this is the next big thing in tech, and this is the next big thing in sales and stuff. And so because I'm constantly open to that idea that there's improvement, right? Especially in the software side of things, which is where I do like a lot of my business and a lot of my consulting, is I end up chasing like shiny things that don't really serve me, right? And they take me too far off the path. And then what happens is I sign up for these email funnels, right? Because, marketing and how, and some sort of freebie. And all of a sudden I end up and I'm like, oh, I need this thing, right? And so what happens is I kind of get a little bit caught in the improvement loop and not the doing loop, right? So very, very specifically, recently I got like a whiteboard, and I've been writing my days out, and we've been doing this thing, me and my buddy Jake, where we do a morning accountability call. Like, okay, what do you got to do today? And we've been doing these weekly bets on ourselves, right? And if we don't do all the things, you got to pay a cause you don't like. But if you do win, depending upon how difficult the bet was, you get money back to go spend on whatever you want. So the idea is you stay the path, you see success, you can take bigger bets on yourselves, and you get confident about being able to focus on what you can control and how that impacts your world. And so we're a couple of weeks into that, and it's been really, really interesting. But, I would say that maybe for me, that shiny thing is really apparent. And I always told myself that I had good focus, right? Because I was only around, Jeff and Al, who are both these huge eyes who can appear to be very, very scattered. Like Al does a really good job of appearing scattered, but actually being pretty focused and doing the things that he needs to do, and keeping a pretty firm hand on the things that are super important. Nan is getting mobbed by her dog right now if you're not watching this on YouTube. So you should. But, everybody deals with focus in their own way, right? And mine is, I can improve this, but really I should just be doing it a little bit more. Do it a little bit more, do it a little bit more, do it a little bit more, own it, as opposed to getting marketed around, oh, let me, this is going to revolutionize everything. Most things that tell you that they're going to revolutionize something don't actually do anything at all. So that's my newer, better, faster, stronger, it's marketing. So it's prevalent, and we get marketed to so much, right? Especially if you're in business. It's crazy.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I'm sure, Clint, you get the newest, greatest people telling you to use this product on your next construction. Do you run into any of that?
Every day, man.
Yeah.
I sat through what was supposed to be an hour-long phone, video, Zoom chat, whatever, describing this new product, and this just happened like 2 days ago. And they were telling me that this new estimating tool is, trust me, you will love this tool. It is the best. And now, I'm not so dumb in the industry that I don't constantly look for new tools, right? So I'm always kind of forward searching. So, the thought of somebody calling me and telling me they have a product that I've never heard of is, I'm already feeling sketchy about it, right? So, the guy goes through about 10 minutes. I said, hey, just, let me stop you there. Can it do this? Oh, we don't have that feature yet. Can it do this? No, we don't have that feature either. Okay, well, those are the two most important things that I need. Oh, well.
What did he say?
He just went right on back to pitching the sale, right?
Because no self-awareness to stop and say, how important is that?
Exactly. And I gave him the rope, the lifeline, to like, hey, maybe I can help you develop these tools with you, and maybe in 6 months from now we can talk again.
Wow.
And he just
so nice.
he just went on selling, and I just said, hey man, I I got something better to do. I got to stop this phone call. And I've gotten about 5 emails from them. What'd you think of the sale or the pitch? What did you think of? Can we get some feedback? And it's just, and I typed them back today. No, that was it.
You got all your necessary feedback on the call, sir.
And that's kind of my point. I wasn't trying to be a dick. It was just that, people do this all the time, right? I have the best new tool. I have the best widget. The fact is that there's thousands and thousands of people in your industry trying to develop the brand best tool every day, every single day. And yeah, maybe one of these days you're going to have a breakthrough and you might have the brand new tool, because somebody always has to have the best tool, right? But you also got to remember those tools are relative to the people using them. And you got to keep that in mind. I'm gonna
fight you a little bit on that idea right there, that eventually somebody will have the best tool, right? Because Salesforce is arguably the elephant in the room when it comes to CRM software, right?
And I hate it.
I know, right? And a lot of people hate it, right? Because it's not a fit for everybody, and that's the thing, right? So when you're trying to build that tool that's going to be perfect for everybody, nobody really knows if they need it or not, because everybody wants a thing that's very specific to them, right? Like,
sure. That's what I say. It's all relative.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's part of my idea. Like, go figure out why the people who buy from you and not buy from somebody else. Like go have that conversation. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I would change, right? Is because I get caught up in these loops of thinking that I'm especially clever and smart, and I'm not. But I feel this way because I tend to do a lot of research and I guess a lot of thinking and reading. But I will tell myself this story of I've got this figured out, right? So it's easy for me to flinch to that. Just shut up. I know what you need. I've got it right here, which is the thing that I hate the most in sales, right? Because whenever I run into that, I'm just like, oh man, we are done. You're not even asking me any questions to qualify about what I really want. You're just trying to get your needs met. And I was doing a version of that for a while without really realizing it. So there's always a market. There's always a market, right? Because there's this idea that if there's one end of the market, the other end of the market is not being represented. Right? Well,
and you just brought up an important. You reserve your judgment for cantaloupes in the grocery store, right? Basically, if you're throwing judgment, you're just putting roadblocks up to sometimes the chaos that actually works out there.
Sure,
maybe it doesn't resonate with you, but if you see success, recognize it, right? And it may not make sense, but if you see it working, just because it doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean that, because we've seen, like you say, lesser products really fly off the shelf for unknown reasons sometimes to me. People are just out there doing a good job with them. Yeah. And so I sit back sometimes and I marvel at how successful some people are, and I just don't get it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the key to sometimes unlocking this paradigm of, do I have to know so much about the product? Do I have to do this? Do I have to just sometimes throw care to the wind and go have a conversation, right? And ask if it makes sense to it doesn't have to make sense to you. It has to make sense to the person you're talking to.
That's the nugget right there, right? Because the inverse of that is also true. Right? Because if they're going to buy for their own reasons and their own value sets, they're also going to say no on those same value sets. And the best thing that you can do is try to figure out, is that reason anchored in reality, or is it just something due to misinformation or bad expectations or something else like this? Because they're going to buy and not buy for their own reasons. And your job as a salesperson is to help them figure out what that decision is, so that way they are clear about what they actually need at the end of the day.
And there's where don't throw the judgment. Just ask the question, hey, I'm a little confused here. What makes you, think that way? Or why do you say what you just said? I'm really curious. And meaning, because they'll know if you're faking them on the judgment call, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to call them down on a bad choice or a bad way of doing things, because believe me, there's a bunch of old crusty folks at the top of these corporate structures that just want to do it the old school way sometimes, right? Clint, I'm sure you run into it, right? I mean, if you got an old guard guy that says, well, we've been doing it this way, it's like, my grandfather was a railroad man, right? I mean, like got the lantern with the light in the back of the caboose, right? And man, he just could not change. That guy went to his grave that the best part of the railroad had died with innovation. And,
well, and I tell people that tell me that all the time, because in construction I ran into it. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I say, yeah, okay. Now rewind yourself 30 years, and would you do it the same as the people before you? And the answer is always, no, of course not. We found a better way to do it. Well, guess what? I also have a better way than what you've been doing for 30 years. You're not wrong. I just have a new widget. I have a new way to do it. And to be honest with you, new tools and new widgets and all that stuff are only good for people that are willing to change with it. These tools, these new, apps, these new programs. If you've got a 70-year-old sales guy that barely knows how to run a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, all these new tools in Salesforce and, these new apps to track CRMs, they're not going to work for a guy that doesn't know how to turn a computer on. So you gotta, it's like I said, it's all relative, right? It's to what you do. Yeah.
The other thing is that if you have just been kind of like the at-leasters, right? You got the high performers, the people who kill it. You got the people who don't make it, and then you got like a bunch of people who are just like at-leasters, right? And these are the people who everybody talk about in sales is like negative, right? The sandbaggers, the people who are waiting and stuff like this. And a lot of those like older guys don't want guys like me, because I'm bringing oversight and I'm bringing tracking and I'm bringing data and I'm bringing like how effective are you in this role?
You're bringing it above board.
Yeah.
Right. And it's huge.
So we've been talking about process, and I think Clint said something about role play, and it's funny because I've been asking people like, hey, like let's get on a call and let's do a role play and let me just give you some feedback, and nobody wants to do it, right? Like nobody at all, right? So maybe like two people will be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do it, and then they don't really do it very well, and it's kind of terrifying. And so I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna eat my own dog food here. I have a process, right? I think I can sell pretty much anything as far as having a qualifying conversation. So today, in my circles that I run in, I put out a thing and I said, look, you don't want to role play with me, that's awesome, but I can sell your shit better than you. You want to get on a call? I'm going to ask you 10
I saw that post.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you 10 questions, and then maybe a couple of like mini questions, but like 10 minutes total, and then we're going to role play a qualifying conversation, and everybody likes it. And honestly, I'm a little bit nervous, but it's gonna be awesome. Right?
Hey, you should be.
You might have opened Pandora's box, my friend.
Here's the deal. But, I'm either gonna kill it or I'm gonna improve.
Well, or you'll improve, right?
Very
You can't. This is a win-win for you, John.
Absolutely.
There's where putting yourself into a situation that you can't lose, because if the only thing they're going to do is verbally slap you or maybe say it didn't work, but screw them, right? It worked for me. You were a good sounding board so that I get better at doing my consulting. So I get better at talking to people who can't sell, because you signed up, bitch. You're the one who couldn't sell. That's why you wanted the conversation. You wanted improvement. I said, no guarantees. Maybe you improve. Maybe I do. We'll see.
Yeah, it's funny. The whole range of comments, some from like, yeah, to, yeah, we'll see, right? And I'm just like, cool, let's go, baby. Because like, here's the deal. If I ask you 10 questions, right, who do you kill it for? Who do you not kill it for? Who's your upstream competitor? Who's your downstream competitor? A couple of other ones other than that, I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna destroy these guys who don't understand how to have qualifying conversations. So what they're doing is they're pitching to everybody, right? Just give me 5 minutes and let me talk to you, and then I'll send you a proposal, and you can let me know if you like it. And you don't actually know why you're not closing anything. It's really weird because there's no trust, there's no rapport, and you're just, putting it into an email without any attachment or next steps or agreements or anything else like this. And you're confused why you're closing like 10%. It's very bizarre. So we're going to see how that goes. It's going to be awesome. So if you're listening to this and you want to do this, message me, or I'm all over everything. So, or just message Sales Throwdown. We're on Facebook, Twitter, info@Sales Throwdown. If you want to take the assessment, we have them assessment, or Actually, sorry, it's a bad habit. disc@salesthrowdown.com, and we'll get you hooked up. We've had a couple of people really recently reach out to us, take the assessment. They're getting some value out of it. It's helping them. So if you're struggling right now, you're not really sure how to improve or how to shift or adjust, reach out to us. That's why we're here. But yeah, we are trying to do these a little bit shorter. So does anybody have anything else left to add before we go?
If you guys are out there, any questions about COVID-19, cold, cough, and flu, musculoskeletal injuries, bring it to North Texas Clinic and Rehab. We have 2 convenient locations in the Metroplex. One of them off of Bedford Euless Road, 729 to be exact. The other one's at 1005 East Pioneer Parkway in Arlington. I have some great providers and ancillary staff ready to help you with any needs you have. Bring it.
Damn. Al just learned how to market himself like earlier today. It's crazy.
And I hate to tell you, but in this partnership, that just cost you $2,200.
Damn it! And I thought about that, Clint. I really said I'm on the hook for something after this little plug.
We all get 10%. We all get 10%. So.
Yeah, I just need somebody typing the numbers to the clinics underneath my little thing. So yeah, little stream running across.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to get that overlay built in time for this episode to come out, Al. I mean,
that's all right. It's coming though, baby. It's coming.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
Hey, Clint, jealousy is an ugly emotion.
Albert, you need to have the addresses behind you on the wall.
Yeah, just pick up his phone and go to Maps and just search for Al Daniel. It'll take you right to where he is right now. He's in his office.
Hey, if y'all need my geolocation, just hit it. Yeah, hit it, baby. Yeah.
For your safety, do not Google search Al Daniel.
Especially on the images.
No, it's actually, for the longest time on the web, if you Googled Al Daniel or Albert Daniel, it was a kid getting a wedgie in the hallway of like some middle school.
I believe that.
That's all that showed up. I was like, wow, I'm famous, but I'm not.
Was I the one giving the wedgie?
Yeah, some bully like you, yeah.
How did they pull that image right out of your brain and like put it into Google? That's crazy.
Siri knows everything.
So true.
Oh God, Nanette, do you have anything else before we leave? You've been really, really quiet today, and everybody wants to hear more from you.
With the 3 of y'all, do you think this little female's gonna get any word in edgewise?
Girl.
Here's the deal.
I still have a chance.
You would.
I think
you'd be getting in there more if you were a D, right? So this is really important because, like, I don't know that everybody gets this, but like on this show, you can really see the differences in our styles, right, and how we communicate on this stuff. And Nan is quiet, and it's not because for any other reason other than like this is kind of like how she is in situations because she wants to get everyone along, and the other 3 of us tend to be pretty loud and boisterous and big personalities. So that's what you're going to see when you're talking to S types, right? So you got to make sure they feel included. But
I can tell you guys out there that are listening and watching, Nan can walk into any business and get to the decision maker. Yeah. I mean, she is phenomenal at that. So yeah, don't take her lack of, going to banner against each one of us for granted, because she's got her way of doing things. And some people, I know there are plenty of people out there that feel the power that she brings to the table. Yep. In that there's not a gatekeeper she cannot connect with. And when she does, they vomit the keys to the castle to her.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, and S's biggest strength, but on this podcast especially, is Nan's strength is she can shut us up. She's the only personality that could shut all 3 of us up. There's no doubt about that in my mind. Sure. If you put another type of personality on there and interrupt us, it wouldn't happen, right? We'd railroad them. So as an S, that is it may not seem like it.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, Clint is absolutely spot on there. Yep.
Usually am.
keep telling yourself that. Keep telling yourself. I'll send you all those great emojis in a second here. You're amazing, Glenn. Wow.
Hearts.
All right, guys. So we're going to call this here. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Share this with other people. Leave a review about what your thoughts are on the new format. Do you want us back in the studio? Are you okay with this? Does this work better? Do you miss? Let us know, because this is for you guys more than it is for us at this point. So we want to help. We want to bring value, and we want to do it the best way possible. So let us know how to do that. Leave a review. Share this with somebody else. That's how we get to keep doing this. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see everybody next week. Go.
Love y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Yeah.
Talk to
Go
you
sell
soon.
something.
Bye-bye.
Bye.